Howdy, everybody, and welcome to whatever the fuck day it is. The Friday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine. This is my co-host, Hedgehog. Hedgehog has been ripped open by Topaz. You can see the open wound. And so he's been replaced. Something that's really interesting about the Hedgehog is that he is eternal. And I've promised Topaz that no matter how many he destroys, he's eternal. He lives forever. So there'll always be another one. So, and there's actually a ceremony that's associated with Eternal Hedgehog. But we'll go over that. But yeah. I mean,
I can't wait to hear this.
Well, no, I mean, it's just a thing, and I'll do it one day on the air. You just remind me, write down these words, Eternal Hedgehog.
Hedgehog.
Yeah.
I didn't think they had hedgehogs in Ohio. I used to have them in my garden here in England.
Yeah. I mean, and there was one in the porn industry.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah. I can't understand when your mouth is full of food. So if you're going to be a co-host, either eat or co-host.
I'm hungry.
How many times do I have to tell you? How many times do I have to tell you this? You know? Oh, well. He's muted.
I'm hungry.
He's hungry. Okay, fine. You eat and enjoy yourself. And when you're ready to talk, then you'll come in and talk. It's so easy. Today is the eye test. And the eye test is something that, hello to Big Lurker UK and hi to Amsterdam. The eye test is the truth, is what you see with your eyes. Now, there might be 10 different reasons for it. And today's eye test, would start out with I was just watching the first half of the Cavaliers Summer League game. They're terrible. And the eye test is that Amani Bates has gained 26 pounds in the offseason to improve his strength, and he's slow as molasses, and it probably won't change his destiny, which is to end up going nowhere in the NBA. Some people are watching Jason Tyson in this game. Hard to tell anything except the team looks terrible. And the eye test is the Cavaliers aren't trying to get better in the offseason. The eye test says that the Cavaliers are going to be taking a dump next year. They have a new coach and are going to be running up and down like crazy people, shooting up 3-point shots, but they're not doing anything to strengthen their roster. So that's what the eye test is to the Cleveland Cavaliers. But the program today is focused on the eye test of the Cleveland Guardians because obviously something is amiss. And, I watch every game and I can see certain things, and they're not passing the eye test in certain areas now compared to what was happening earlier in the year. And part of it, of course, is just real material kinds of stuff, like, that their starting pitching has failed, and there's a bunch of stuff, but the eye test rarely lies. Before I get into that, I had an interesting thing happen, and that, sometimes you unearth something, and you do it quite accidentally. And I untracked a music track back from the late 60s of a folk song. And this is really a strange thing. And it was, I know it wasn't the best recording in the world, but I did what I had to do to, make it a high quality file. And I put this up on my SoundCloud channel so that you guys could hear this. And it's just something I discovered that I wanted to play. So I wanted to share it with everybody. And let's see, I haven't done a share screen in quite a while. So this should work, I hope. We're going to share this. And I'm going to play this, and I hope you enjoy this as much as I did, rediscovering this chestnut from the late 1960s.
Don't fuck with the postman. If you do, he'll break your heart. Don't fuck with the postman. If you do, you'll have to fart. My doorbell rang at 2 p.m. The postman said good day. He said, I have a package for you. I can deliver it right away. Then I made my first mistake. I didn't know he was a fake. I let him in and then I heard him say, don't fuck with the postman. If you do, he'll break your heart. Don't fuck with the postman. If you do, he'll make you fart. He opened up his package right away. I lost my breath, what else can I say? Then I realized that there was more. He wanted to deliver it in my back door.
Ooh.
Here I sit with the pained and broken heart, and a never-ending urge to have to fart. I cannot tell you how I hurt inside the next time he can leave the thing outside. Don't fuck with the postman.
All right, let's sing along.
If you do, he'll break your heart. Don't fuck with the postman. If you do, you'll have to fart.
These guys were actually pretty good. Kind of.
He opened up his package right away.
I don't want to hear this.
I lost my breath, what else can I say? Then I realized that there was more. He wanted to deliver it in my back door.
No!
Here I sit with a pained and broken heart,
Oh.
and a never-ending urge to have to fart. I cannot tell you how I hurt inside the next time he can leave the thing outside. Don't fuck with the postman. If you do, he'll break your heart. Don't fuck with the postman. If you do, you'll have to fart.
That was from 1969.
1969, huh?
A band called the Stump Jumpers. I don't remember how I got a hold of that. We'll see if we can get out of that completely. All right. So there you have that. You know,
That sounded painful. That sounded
it
really
was.
painful.
It's one of those things that you just wish you hadn't heard, you know? So
Wow.
I've decided to do some things with a program to see if I can create better music than that. So
Okay.
that'll be the next phase of Moohead Radio as we integrate some of these songs. And a lot of them will end up having sports themes in Cleveland sports.
Well, you
So-
need to update your Randy Lerner to Aston Villa song that you did like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
That was
I mean, this used
classic.
to be a regular function, but now the technology is such that, you know, I can do something, and that's kind of fun. So, yeah, and so the fact that nobody listens to the program, it'll
You can
be
do whatever you want. There's freedom here because there's nobody else here.
yeah. I mean, it's all good as far as I'm concerned.
You
It's
know,
all good.
If there were people here, it'd be regulated, and then there would be no freedom, would there?
So
So
let's get back to the meat of the program. The Cleveland
I thought
Guardians.
that was the meat of the program.
No, I mean, but it is a lesson. Do not let strange people in your door. Okay.
My
If so-
postman's female, so I don't know. It'd have to be a different song for her.
That's true. But postman, I don't
Yeah, it'd be
know.
a different song.
But folk music in San Francisco in the late 60s was a lot different than, it was in the early 60s. And so you just had, there was just a different connotation to the music.
Yeah.
Looking at the Cleveland Guardians, things have really started grinding to a halt.
Grinding. Now that's a good segue from your last segment.
Yeah, So, let them leave
Grind
the package
away
outside next time. I don't.
No,
that was way too intimate. UPS is probably not smiling.
No.
You look at the Guardians lineup they've been jumping people around from the minors to the majors to the majors to the minors, and so I've wanted to do some comparisons, and I have the whole roster in front of me here. Okay. And I'm not going to talk about Jose Ramirez or Jimenez. These people are going to be starters. Stephen Kwan or Josh Naylor. I'm not going to talk about those people. I'm not going to talk even much about Bo Naylor because he's actually starting to perform. And I don't think that he's going to ever set the world on fire necessarily, but he's getting more comfortable and showing he can drive the ball.
You mean he's better than Austin Hedges?
Yeah, well, that's just it. Now, there will be, and I'm not going to be talking much about, Martinez because Angel Martinez, I've already spoken about the fact that I think that he's a real player, and it's just based upon the eye test because I don't know anything about the guy except that he gets his bat on the ball and he hits it on a line. The eye test goes something like this. Travis Freeman, is that his name? Tyler Freeman. Tommy
Morgan
Freeman. Actually, I was going to write a Jewish folk song. And it was called
Friedman in it.
Freeman, Schneeman. What difference does it make? All right. Yeah. So there's Tyler Freeman who can play a gutsy center field, but he has a history of hitting in the minor leagues, but there is nothing that tells me in the eye test that he can even consistently hit a ball in the air to hit a sacrifice fly when he needs to.
Wow.
He's not particularly fast, so he hits in a double plays, and it's not like he's going to steal a whole lot of bases on a team that really kind of was running a lot earlier in the season. The whole eye test tells me they look tired.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, and I appreciate that, but I guess back in 1969, that kind of cowbell didn't come along. So,
do you actually have your own cowbell?
I do not.
Should.
No,
it's
stereotyping me, and it's marginalizing me as a cow.
It is.
Yeah.
It doesn't fall under DEI regulations if you have a cowbell, I guess.
I mean, if I were doing the full cow thing, people would say, well, how could you be doing a show? You should be chewing your cud. There's all these misconceptions about this, and I don't want to be marginalized.
The big thing this week was the running of the bulls in Pamplona. Did you see that? That's all out there again today.
I've seen that so many times. I mean, how many times could you see people go, jump over a fence to get the hell away? And one guy who's on the end of the horn gored to death. I mean, and yes, I cheer for the bull because there's no sport involved in that.
Everyone cheers for the bull.
No fucking sporting involved whatsoever. So Tyler Freeman, he leaves runners at third base on a regular basis because he can't even hit a sac fly. All right. Wow. Then there's Brian Rocchio. Brian Rocchio is, and I think that Rocchio could be a good defensive shortstop. He's green, and he tends to have mental omissions. He's starting to make some errors in the field because he's in a hurry.
Is he getting ready to run for president then? Is that?
I don't know. But what I do know is he's hitting a big 213 this year. And obviously, they gave him the job for a reason. And that's because Arias
terrible.
I mean,
well, he's like Maniac, that sort of player.
Yeah, then there's Will Brennan, who and you'll see what I've done here, and I hope that you appreciate this
effort.
We'll start with Will Brennan for the fun of it. Not that there's much fun in it. It's not that Will Brennan is so much of a bad player. He actually succeeded in some measure in his first full year of playing in 2023, and he hit 266. He had 5 home runs, 41 runs batted in, and he got his bat on the ball. He did not have a high strikeout ratio. He only struck out 57 times and 455 at bats. So, I would say on the overall 1 every 8 at bats, he was getting his bat on the ball and he was driving it. I mean, he hit 24 doubles. He's not a big home run hitter, but he stole 13 bases and, that's fine. But he can't stay healthy. And, I'm looking at his minor league, average, and, he was pretty damn good in the minor leagues. But if you can't stay healthy, then what's the point of it all?
Yeah.
And so I wanted to compare some of these players with people that we've seen in the past,
Oh, no.
And Will Brennan playing right field. And then, I was thinking,
Lonnie
Chisenhall. That's right.
Lonnie Chisenhall.
If you look at Lonnie Chisenhall's numbers, he would hit anywhere from 7 to 13 home runs a season. All right.
Yep.
He would drive in anywhere from 30 some odd to 50 some odd runs. He would hit in his best year 29, 25, and 19 doubles. And his batting average, career-wise, with the then Indians, was a 268.
268. Oh, yeah, okay.
And he couldn't stay healthy.
He couldn't judge a fly ball to save his life, though. He was awful in the field.
Yeah, well, I mean, and again, nobody's going to tell you that Will Brennan has a powerful arm or that he covers a tremendous amount of ground in right field. These two players are very similar in my mind.
That's terrible.
They don't run very well, and they can make solid contact, but they're not reliable because they are not healthy.
How many years did we have to suffer with Lonnie Chisenhall? How many years was he on the team?
And that's part of the point of all this. When you start looking at the players that I'm examining here, and I'll take the next one, Kyle Manzardo, who's in the minor leagues right now. They brought him up for his first, attempt at failing in the big leagues, and he succeeded.
He succeeded in failing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he's 23 years old, so we're not going to go full bore judgment on him. But I will tell you this. His bat looks slow. And again, when you're the stuff that he did while he was up here in the big leagues, a lot of opposite field doubles, but this from a guy who had hit 13 home runs in minor league baseball, and he showed none of that power at all in the big leagues. In his time up, he had 160 at bats in the minors, but only 82 in the bigs. But he didn't hit a home run, and he didn't hit anything that resembled a home run.
Laid on the fastball and slicing it into the opposite field. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I think he just wasn't able to read the big league pitching. and he was, off timing, off balance. And I think that he was late on fastballs. He didn't pull very much. And this from a guy who's supposed to be one of your top farmhands for being a power hitter in your minor league system. I mean, to be honest with you, in a very limited run, John Kenzie has done better than Kyle. All right, as far as showing that he can hit the ball a long way. But again, there's more to it than just that.
That's a great porn name, John Kenzie.
John Kenzie, yeah. And it's not that the Guardians haven't tried to find power hitters, but it just doesn't seem to work.
Well, you think they've tried?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're trying to bring these people up. Jonathan Rodriguez, there's a guy who was brought up earlier in the season, right?
Okay.
And, if you look at his minor league record, I have those stats in front of me. He, in his last 2 seasons, full seasons, 22 and 23, hit 26 and 29 home runs.
Ooh.
And he's hit 15 in Columbus this year. So and he has 51 runs batted in. He came up to the major leagues and promptly did a real big job for the big league team, hitting 125. And they put him back down in AAA and he started hitting again. Does that tell you anything? The eye test on these people, if you can't put your bat on the ball, a lot of guys who are power hitters don't start out as pure power hitters.
They start out as hitting the ball, contact hitters.
The guys in the history of baseball who were the people who you would say were pure home run hitters, and that was it.
Even Barry Bonds. I mean, he didn't start whacking in home runs until he started shooting up. But anyway,
well, that's a different story.
But
yeah. But I mean, there were guys who were playing in the big leagues who hit barely over the Mendoza line, who would hit 30. Guys like Kingman.
And Frank Howard. Frank Howard was a classic from the 60s.
Yeah, but Frank Howard hit the ball hard, like Willie McCovey would hit the ball hard. A lot of these guys were, if they made contact, danger, but they didn't make contact nearly often enough. And there were a bunch of players in the big leagues who stayed in the big leagues because they could hit 30, 35, 40 home runs in a season and hit 210. All right.
Yeah.
And would strike out an inordinate percentage of the time they were at home plate. And realistically, that's pretty well what happened in his initial run, Jonathan Rodriguez. Now, you're saying to yourself, why would you bring up Jonathan Rodriguez for 31 at bats, all right, where he hit 129, had 0 home runs? And part of this, in my eye test, is that the Guardians are trying to showcase these people for trade.
Get rid of them, yeah.
And they're not ever willing to pay anybody of any value to play for the team. So what they're going to do is say, oh, look what we got. And it's like nobody cares what the Guardians have in their minor league system because none of them amount to dick as far as being power hitters.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. And we can wait until hell freezes over for Chase DeLauter. He's already had 2 injuries, and who knows what the story is with him. And what is John Kenzie's last name? They call him Big Christmas because he wears Noel. That's right. Yeah. So he can hit the ball a long way, but his is a different comparison. And, I was digging up numbers and this name came up when I thought of John Kenzie Noel. Jesus Aguilar, okay?
Wow.
We've seen this before in Cleveland a guy like Aguilar had a couple of seasons that were pretty damn worthwhile. In fact, in his career, he was a 253 hitter, and he hit 114 home runs. He's 34 years of age now, and he's completely out of the league. But the interesting thing is, at the time, the Indians never really played this guy. We just took brief looks at him like we're doing with these other players, and we traded him to Milwaukee, where he promptly hit 16 home runs. And then the following year in 2018, he hit 35 home runs with 108 runs batted in. But when you look at his career, he went from that to 12 home runs and a 236 average. In 2019, I mean, he hardly played at all for Milwaukee. Wow. They traded him into Oblivion, Miami, which is where people
go to die, basically.
And could be had on the cheap, where he hit 8 home runs with only 34 runs batted in, and then followed it up with 22 home runs, all right, and 93 runs batted in and hitting a 261. But he couldn't consistently hit much better than a 230, 235, 240 average. And then he would have a few seasons where it was better, but he wasn't a good fielder. So, and so in Miami, it didn't really matter that you put him at first base and, he could block something there with his body. But that's who John Kenzie Noel is a big guy who can hit the ball a long way if he makes contact.
Yeah, but kind of Charlie Spikes like.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Jonathan Rodriguez, when they called him up, he had a cannon for an arm in right field, but at 129, it doesn't really matter.
Did he get lost under the flag if he had a cannon for?
No, that would be
that's Brandon Whedon. Yes.
Then you've got Daniel Schneemann. Now,
Schneemann.
Yep.
Now, is he one of your people with that name, Schneemann?
I don't know.
I hesitate to ask.
I don't know.
You should find out.
What I know is that he's a guy who has never distinguished himself much in the minor leagues until last season in AAA. He hit 13 home runs with 60 runs batted in. And he's getting kind of an extended look-see, but his average has plunged steadily until where he's at right now ain't so pretty. He's down to a 238 average, and he's hit 4 home runs, but he's just doesn't run well. He's only stolen 1 base. He doesn't fit in with much of anything. He's another utility player like Tyler Freeman. And we have a bunch of guys who are, and Angel Martinez, who they're all basically men without positions.
And mediocre as hell with everything they do.
Well, Angel Martinez can hit, and they're going to try him in center field because, honestly, having a 213 center fielder who can't hit the ball in the air, even to hit sac flies, you got to have somebody who can help out the lineup, because right now they've been living off of Quan. Then he got injured, and now he's back, and he's hitting 363 for the season, tops in the bigs. Yeah. And you have Jose Ramirez, who's being walked again, constantly, intentionally walked, and he can only do so much. And you got to surround him so that it becomes Naylor, who was up, down, and now is coming back up again, but he's having a nice year. And then this David Fry thing, which his batting average is just plunging. And
isn't he on the All-Star team? I thought,
he is the worst selection for an All-Star team in my lifetime.
How did that happen?
Because he's a designated hitter, and they needed a designated hitter. I don't know why. To be honest with you, he had a wonderful start, and he hasn't been able to do anything since. And his batting average has dropped now into well, he was hitting like 350, and then now it's like suddenly down to 280 or 285, something like that. But I mean, if you look at his last 20, 25 games, he's hitting in the 100s, and he's slower than a lame duck, and he hits into a ton of double plays, and he's not driving the ball like he was early in the season.
So he's 0 for July then, huh?
Yeah, the eye test tells me this team looks like they're out of steam. They're just not playing with the same vitality.
Verve. That's a good word. Verve.
Yeah, and they're not taking the extra bases, stealing the bases. They're not even getting on base right now because mediocre pitchers have discovered throw them changeups. The more changeups you throw at them, then they stand there watching fastballs with the bat on their shoulder, and that is the other thing, Ron, that will happen when you become a station-to-station team that has a bunch of Tyler Freemans who might dribble a ball through the right side of the infield, but you got to have people who can do more than one base at a time. The one base carousel doesn't work. And of course, if your hitters are hitting a collective 150, besides the guys who they walk intentionally, that's what happens.
Yeah, you can't hide the rally killers in the lineup. I mean, normally you could stash 1 or 2 rally killers away so that they don't fuck up every inning that you play in, but you can't hide three people.
Yeah. Now, the other side of the equation, you have Hedges. Austin Hedges shouldn't even be in the major leagues. And it's hard enough for me to fathom that he is the personal valet catcher of a pitcher in Carlos Carrasco, who is 4 years beyond when he should really have been in the major leagues. So not only do we get Carrasco, who no longer has a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, but is topping out at 90, and a guy trying to get by on trickery, and it's not working. They're hitting him hard, and he has his own valet catcher who's hitting 140, and it doesn't
can't win then.
No, and then to make matters worse, they're letting him actually come in and catch other pitchers. And it's like, why is he out there? I mean, the second Bo Naylor starts playing well, we start seeing more of Hedges, and it doesn't make sense.
Wow.
You got to have something better as a backup catcher. And I know he can throw people out, but it doesn't matter when you're scoring 1 run a game. And,
Carrasco gives up home runs like
gopher balls.
I mean, what's the point in having a catcher that can throw runners out when they don't have to, because they're knocking home runs in?
Well, and it's not just him. There are a bunch of pitchers. Tristan McKenzie leads the league in home runs given up. So, I mean, it's not pretty. So, and we haven't even started talking about the starting pitching, but as far as the lineup is concerned, you keep changing things around, and you're trying to show people, what you have, and maybe they're interested in doing a trade and this and that, and the team's losing. The Twins are now within 4.5 games of the Guardians, and the Guardians are not just losing, but they're putting 0 and 1 run on the board. They're not doing anything. They just look like a team that's gassed. They look like the final 100 yards, in the 1,500-meter race. They're just they're being lapped by people. And so what I see is a rookie coach. Everything has gone really beautifully for him in the first season, but things are starting to get tough, and he doesn't have a whole lot to draw on, which leads me to the starting pitching. When you count on 2 guys, Tristan McKenzie and Logan Allen.
Oh, God.
And those 2 guys are 2 important pitchers in your rotation. And the guy who was the fifth guy was Carrasco, and you were toying with making him a long relief guy earlier, in the season, and then Bieber goes down, so you lose him. So you don't, and they were only going to showcase him to try to get something for him because he wasn't going to stay in Cleveland. Correct. And then you have these other two guys. Logan Allen is a guy who, in my opinion, eye test, he throws 92 with a fastball, and he has a breaking ball. And he has to be perfectly on the corners.
Oh, absolutely. I watched that game he pitched against Baltimore a couple of weeks ago, and he got absolutely belted. He looked like Charlie Brown getting his clothes knocked off of him. These Baltimore guys.
Yeah, Jeez. But you see, the thing with Logan Allen is you can sit there and say, well, he didn't give up that many runs. But what's the good if he pitches 4 2/3 innings and has a 100 pitch count?
Yeah.
And I'm not, we haven't gotten to Bybee yet, but we will.
Oh God. Carrasco and Hedges are playing tonight.
Yeah, well, of course they are. And so.
And Schneemann.
Yeah. Right off the bat, Logan Allen, if he throws the ball over the plate, gets shelled.
Correct.
He nibbles constantly. So even if he keeps the run count down, you're only going to get 4+ innings out of him because he's blown out his pitch count.
Yeah.
And then you have to bring in your bullpen in such a way that it uses up your arms. And then it makes the back end guys overworked. And you end up having to pitch Pedro Avila 150 times. All right. So that's Logan Allen.
Well,
Tristan McKenzie used to throw a 95, 96 mile an hour fastball. That went away, and it all became a 91, 92 mile an hour fastball. And he's a pitcher who was able to use that fastball and leverage it with a really good breaking ball and look like he had promise until he hurt his arm. Now, the eye test says one of two things. Either his arm is completely fucked up, or his mechanics are completely fucked up.
Or both.
But they say, well, the last game he pitched, he was hitting 96, but he wasn't hitting the catcher's mitt. I mean, he was all over the place. His mechanics are completely screwed up. And he's a guy who, if you guess right, the ball can go a long way. And he's up in the zone. And what I can say about all of the Guardians pitchers, 100% of them, with the exception of Bybee, Ron Shane, who, even though recently has not looked like himself, he can at least throw a breaking ball that goes down in the strike zone. None of our pitchers get ground balls. If you look at the way they pitch, not only are they giving up long balls, they're giving up a lot of fly balls. They're not good at forcing people into hitting into double plays and that kind of thing.
Wow.
So right off the bat,
Charlie Nagy with no sinker then. That's
right.
Oh.
Yeah. They're, if they're waist high, the ball's leaving the park. And Carrasco doesn't have the ability to get the ball past people anymore. Logan Allen can't beat people with his fastball, and no longer can Tristan McKenzie. So you look at that, and it's like, where are your pitchers going to come from? And then God only knows, you find a guy named Howard that you put on the mound for no good reason, and he's the most horrifyingly bad player that I've seen in decades. And his major league record would show that he's a career 5 earned run average guy.
Wow.
He's horrible, and he was worse in his first start in Cleveland. And
that's like Brent Strom and Steve Dunning, sort of Mike Paul.
Yeah, just horrible. And Crembley, you may be right. Consistently up in the zone, I'd say for Bybee, that may well be the case. I think Bybee has a good 95 mile an hour moving fastball and a really good breaking ball. And when he is waist down with that 12-6 curveball, gets a lot of strikeouts. But recently, everything he's throwing is high, up in the zone. And walking hitters or just getting clubbed when the ball is up too high in the zone.
Well, you know what they gotta do. They're playing Tampa Bay, so you gotta drag.
They never win. They never beat Tampa Bay.
You gotta drag out Dwayne's stats to do a preview of the game here.
I don't have anything to worry about, Brock, because we kick the shit out of you people. And it's about time you realize, don't fuck with the postman, because if you do,
it'll hurt, and you'll have to fart.
You'll have to fart. That's absolutely right.
Yeah. So there are people who are joining into the program going, what is he talking about? Don't worry. If you go back and watch the beginning of the archive,
the Wayne stats,
you'll understand.
That's a package I don't want to see opened again.
Yeah, but we always have trouble with Tampa Bay.
God.
It's
them and the Yankees. Yankees can't beat them either to save their lives.
Right. That's the other thing. So the pitching is screwed up, and now you're not even in a position where Clase is even pitching because you're not even in safe situations.
Yeah, I bet he's happy though.
Yeah, he's just sitting around going, I'm waiting for the All-Star game. And of course, David Fry's like, yeah, I'm waiting for the All-Star game. And it's like, yeah, you should be at home watching it on TV.
Are they all going to sit away from him on the bench? Like there'll be Fry sitting there in the corner, and then everybody else be, sitting away from him on the bench because they don't want to be next to him.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, for God's sakes. I'm just paging through some things here. The eye test to me is that they're tired. They are.
I'm tired too. I'm tired.
I just don't. I don't think that the organization has enough depth. I don't think that they can ever have power hitters, and Manzardo was just not ready to be brought up, and DeLauder's hurt, and I do like Angel Martinez, but Schneemann is disposable or dispensable. And the same thing is true with Tyler Freeman, totally dispensable. People who were supposed to be utility players who play once in a blue moon or playing every day. And, once they moved Fry into playing more often because Vogt is getting scared that the bottom's falling out, and playing David Fry every day, David Fry has basically rewarded him by going 0-0-0. Yeah, it's what it is.
Wow.
I feel badly. I feel badly because they've had such a good first half of the season, but boy, you just see the dog days of summer coming, and we don't have any arms. There's no arms in the minor league system that we can, when you're bringing in people like Howard to pitch for your team, and he's a veteran who's been a failure in the big leagues, and he immediately, you bring him in to start him, you're in trouble.
Oh, it's just because one of these games, I saw the box score. It looked like a bullpen game where the starter went like 2 innings, and then they had the Vila come in and pitch like 3 innings, and they were all.
And then Austin Hedges finished the game.
Yep.
He did. He actually pitched an inning, and it was like, well, I'm glad. It's a shame he didn't hurt his arm.
He might have to be a pitcher. In fact, that would probably be a better team. Like have him the pitcher, and then he can DH, or I don't know how that. I'm confused.
Yeah, and Amsterdam is saying 75 pitches in 3 innings. The guy, he didn't have control. He got whacked around, gave up 7 hits. There was nothing good about the outing whatsoever. The outing was more obvious than Boy George's outing. Okay.
Wow.
That's what I can tell you.
Wow. That's amazing.
And, Bibey's pitch count has gone way up. And the problem keeps getting worse and worse. And I don't know what the answer is, but it isn't Carlos Carrasco, because, he can actually fool people for an inning or two, but invariably at the worst possible moment, he just throws a bullpen, or I should say a batting practice curveball flat over the plate, and somebody whaps it 420 feet.
Yeah.
That's,
so going to be, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool mom.
Yeah. Yeah. We're completely out. It's like there are no bullets in the chamber.
I didn't. Well, how many times have we said that we didn't expect the team to do anything?
That's right.
I was saying 70 and 90 way back, but I feel bad that it's like going down the shitter, and that prediction could still come true.
And it's injuries. It's like the Browns and their offensive line. It's like
God, Jack Conklin. That's we got a starting pitching that's like Jack Conklin.
The Guardians franchise has always been predicated on pitching first. We know that. Yep. They keep drafting pitchers, and and that's fine. But now those pitchers are gone, and we've replaced them with guys who have arm trouble and mechanical problems, and it's really tough. But everything that I think. And I don't think that there's, I don't know, a guy like Condon can cover a lot of things. Condon. Oh. I'm sorry. Boom. I read that wrong. Before I get out of here, many of you are familiar if you've watched the program, and I'm not just talking to the few people who are watching live, but the people who will watch the replay of the program, the archive.
Oh yeah.
With my doggy Topaz the Wolf.
Oh, Topaz.
Topaz the Wolf is like my favorite dog, and he has a story.
He is my favorite dog too.
Yeah, I mean, he has a story on how he and I got together, and he wrote a song.
Okay.
And I want to finish the program with his song, and I wish that and I think that you'll see his picture on the screen. Kind of, it's actually a rendering of him, not a real picture of him, but a rendering of him. And we're going to share the screen. And here we go. And you'll see and we'll share it right now, and that'll pull up. So you'll see right in the middle.
Yeah, he's got a guitar.
Yeah, that's right. And this is something that also Topaz will be helping me write songs. And this was from a compilation album of Topaz the Wolf. It's called Belly Time Version 2. And
right, it's just Topaz's version. Not the one the record company first put out that he wasn't happy with, and he had to be remixed.
Right. So this was redone to his specifications. Okay. And here we go.
The vibe was a Sheltie from Nashville, Tennessee. His breeder said he'd be the dog that everyone would see, but everyone gave up on him after a 7-month growth spurt. And nobody but Topaz knew how much he hurt. And now it's belly time for Topaz. His legs are spread apart. Belly time for Topaz. What a damn good way to start. Mark lived down in Florida, 62 years old. His wife had up and left him. He left his heart stone cold. But he knew he wouldn't die that way. It had to come to end. So he found the breeder he once knew to find a furry friend. And now it's belly time for Topaz. His legs are spread apart. belly time for Topaz. What a damn good way to start. They threw him in an SUV. They locked him in a crate. They drove and drove for 14 hours down the interstate. When night turned slowly in the day, they came to Journey's End. And Topaz looked out the window and saw his brand new friend. And now it's belly time.
It's belly time.
Oh, I'm crying.
Dreamed of
Oh.
belly time. With an open heart and his legs apart, he knew what he would find. Dreaming of belly time. Now Topaz lives in Florida. There ain't no doggy shows. He and Mark still live together. That's how the story goes. With an open heart and his legs apart, he found his destiny. The neighbors talk when he takes his walks, and he's the dog to see. And so it's belly time for Topaz. His legs are spread apart. Belly time for Topaz. What a damn good way to start.
He's a sax solo.
They threw him in an SUV. They locked him in a crate. They drove and drove for 14 hours down the interstate. When night took him in an SUV, they locked to come to him. So he found the breeder he once knew. They find a furry friend. And now it's belly time for Topaz. His legs are spread apart. Belly time for Topaz. What a damn good way to start.
Oh,
The first hit record for
Oh.
Topaz the Wolf.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is outstanding.
Yeah, I mean that has hit potential.
Oh God, yeah.
Not like Don't Fuck with the Postman. This was actually,
No.
you know,
Yeah.
there's some
loving
meat on the bone. You
it.
know,
I could add a sax solo to it if you want to splice that in.
yeah, you know, it is funny because AI is something that is, of course, omnipresent and all over. But I want to be able to do some stuff in addition to AI. I mean, this I'll give credit to Suno, which is the AI generator online that I am currently utilizing. But I want to be able to utilize it with some software that I have in Florida that will be able to, you know, all lyrics I'm writing, and then the chord structure is what the AI is coming up with.
Yeah.
But it's not the way I would do it, and would be able to feed that into a program that will identify all the chord structure in the song so that I could move things around. And it really can be a musical tool if you want it to be, or it can be something silly, which Mr. Moohead would choose in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So now you know everything
to that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you feel like, hey, you know, that's kind of nice. It's belly time for Topaz.
That's like a Hallmark moment, isn't it?
Warm and fuzzy.
Hallmark.
So I hope everybody has a good weekend. I wanted to do, before I get out of here, an update. I am suffering from shingles, which I would not wish on anybody.
Yeah, I didn't have a bad case of it.
How long did yours last for, Bronk?
Mine was very mild, actually. But the actual spots, for about a month were there for around, yeah.
Yep. And did you get the? Was it on your torso?
It was on my chest. Yes.
Okay.
So.
Yep. And did it feel like it was burning if your shirt rubbed against it?
It wasn't that bad case. It was pretty mild. I had it the last time I was in America, like right before I went, like 8 years ago. So I nearly had to cancel my trip, but then figured, fuck it, I just
Yeah.
won't go to the hotel swimming pool.
So do you remember once the rash started going away? How long does the nerve pain take to die down from this shit?
Well, I've got crazy nerve pain. I hardly noticed it with the other nerve pain I got. Doesn't
Right.
matter. Doesn't
Yeah.
fucking matter, man. That's like I said. I don't even think I mentioned it on the show when I had it, so it was that mild.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there are other people who've got hit
Oh
hard.
yeah, other people
I have.
get really, really ill with it. Yeah.
The problem that I have is that it is the nerve pain. It's not the rash that bothers me. It's the nerve pain that goes across areas, and it feels like your whole rib cage is like seizing up at
Well,
times.
that could be a heart attack.
No, but it's
Yeah,
not.
that's worrying.
I took the antiviral medication and all that.
Oh right, yeah. They were going to give that to me here had I been to the doctor like in time for them to see it. But anyway,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered.
No, you got to sit and wait, and I've heard 3 to 5 weeks, and
yeah, you're going to have it for a while.
and I'm 2 weeks, really solid 2 weeks into it, and one of the areas that broke out is gotten better. The other one came a little later, and it's still a little bit irritated, and I'm just hoping that this dies down in a couple.
Oh, you'll be all right for the first preseason game, I reckon. You'll be fine.
Oh, that really makes me feel better.
You'll be able to play. Are we in the Hall of Fame game this year? Or is that some other?
No, somebody else will be in the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah.
And what I do know right now, folks, is that I'm going to be headed back to Florida on October the 25th this year. So that's we're being smart and figuring this out in advance instead of playing it by ear.
Well, with the global warming, you can stay later and later into October, and it won't be 90 degrees in Florida when you get there.
Yeah, but the thing is that there are some things that have to be accomplished in Florida, and so every year's different, Yeah. But hey, we got plenty of time before that happens, and I'm having a great time in Ohio, and even with the shingles, I still go out and sing karaoke,
Yeah, just don't take your shirt off. You just make everybody will think you're a leper.
Oh no, I don't. But no, it isn't like the rashes. I mean, some people get it like it is huge.
Yeah, mine wasn't huge.
I just get like a little spot and then nothing and then another spot.
Yeah, it looks like mine looked like a pyramid shape sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and so there are 3 distinct areas where there were little rashes, and one of them is almost gone, and it actually crusted over.
Oh,
and
crusty rash.
Yeah,
but likes that.
The other stuff, the problem is just if you follow it with your fingers from the first breakout all the way around the side, you can see that it's the nerve that's acting up. Yeah. And the rash, you just follow that as a straight line, and that's the nerve that's being affected. So,
when did you have chicken pox? How old were you?
So young that I don't remember.
I had it when I was 24, and I thought I was going to die. It was one of the worst sicknesses I've ever had. So
yeah, well, they say it doesn't come back as itchy; it comes back more painful, though.
So maybe that's why my shingles was mild, because my chicken pox was so severe.
Yeah. See, I don't have like the fever and the things that some people get. It hasn't been like that. I just, I was thinking about, hey, I got to go out golfing next week. I'm going to do what I have to do, and it will go away when it goes away. Yeah. It's just at night sometimes it's a little bit, when you roll over in your sleep and
yeah. So how's Dick Goddard doing? We ready for the weather report to close out the program?
Before we go, it's 85 degrees outside in Northeast Ohio, and it's going to get cooler and then hotter again. We should be at 90 degrees by the middle of next week, and just going to be chapping our asses off with all kinds of heat. It's going to get warm again. And the bitch of it is I have this great pool in my backyard. I can't use the pool because of the shingles.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, imagine being in Las Vegas and not wanting to use the pool, because that's what happened to me. So
it's a pain in the ass. All right, everybody. Well, thanks a lot for tuning in. I know Amsterdam. In Florida, it's been over 100-degree heat indexes every day. One day was actually 111 in Sarasota. Unbelievable.
Are people just dying? Because that's what happens.
Can't go out. Can't go outside the house. They're telling people the heat warnings, you stay in. You're not to go outside.
There's people in Texas that probably have no power, no refrigeration, no air conditioning since that hurricane came through.
Yeah, that's the killer.
I think they're dead. I think they're dead now.
That's a killer. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I'll try to make it back for Monday. You never know if there's anything to say. You'll know that I'll say it. And if not, then I won't.
You just won't be here.
I mean, exactly.
You got me looking forward to the Guardians only because I want to try to find a feed with Dwayne's stats on it.
Oh, yeah. I'll just find the
Tampa,
whole feed.
It's Tampa game, yeah.
All right. So thanks for the help as always, Bronk, and thanks to everybody for listening. And until next time, hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Good night.